A number of you may be familiar with us, so welcome back. For those of you who are already part of the network, and for those of you who are joining for the first time, a very warm welcome, and we look forward to you joining us today and going forward. This is the first of a series of 3 webinars that we're hosting this spring, which are designed to support the careers of professional women. At Leading Women at Hays, we do this by sharing insights on topical trends and themes that we see coming through in our engagement with both our candidates and our clients. We call them customers. And what we look to do is offer opportunities for members of the network to take some time out in what are inevitably very kind of busy schedules and lives, just to reflect on how we're managing our professional lives, and also with some of our content, our personal lives as well. And also to create opportunities to connect with like-minded individuals through virtual formats like this, through our LinkedIn group. You'll see details of that on the right-hand side of your screen there. And also the return, yippee, of our face-to-face events. So please do look out for face-to-face events and networking opportunities hosted by Leading Women at Hays in a region near you, hopefully this side of the summer and certainly going into the autumn. So without further ado, turning on to today, the insights, as I say, will be shared by Rowena, and it's around the theme of be the best you can be through the mechanics of goal setting in particular. Now, just by way of some housekeeping on this, the first section of this webinar will be recorded. So those that aren't able to join us today, they'll be able to capture and kind of review what Rowena's been saying. But then we will switch off the recording to move into the Q&A. And Rowena will be talking for about 40 minutes or so, and then we'll have between 25 and 20 minutes for questions afterwards. So if you do have questions, please do use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen there, and I'll keep a close eye on that. And I'll probably cluster question themes together. So let me introduce Rowena to you first of all. Rowena is a colleague of mine at Hays. She has 20 years of experience working across financial services and has a particular focus around customer experience. She's also a life coach, so the reason she's with us today, and is a mindfulness practitioner. So Rowena, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thanks a million. Hi, everybody. I'm honoured to be part of this amazing group, Leading Women at Hays, and I'm thrilled to kick off the first of these sessions on behalf of all the amazing, fabulous, strong women that keep us laughing and smiling on a daily basis. There's so many people on the call here today, so thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us. It's really, really fantastic. And this group is, it's really special, and I think it's really important to be a part of a group where we can all support each other, cheer each other on, learn from each other and share each other's experience. We're all at different stages in our life, our career. We have different backgrounds, we look different, our bodies are different. But we do come together, and we will come together to support each other. And just remember, real women support women. Okay, so let's get this started. We can go to the next slide. So I could spend all day talking about goal settings. You could run different kind of workshops, but I've kept this session very, very simple. And the reason is, maybe you guys on the call, I know my own experience, I have attended some calls, webinars where you feel quite overwhelmed after the call. You feel that there's a lot of work that you need to do, or a lot of articles to read. So look, today's session is to keep it very, very simple. We'll talk about goal settings and why we should set goals and the importance. I have a couple of tips that I want to share with you, and then we'll wrap it up. And as Yvonne said, we'll have some time at the end for some questions and answers. I don't call myself an expert, but I have helped a lot of people, family and friends over the years to set goals. And I really hope today to help you guys set goals and also achieve them. So if you can, for the next little while, put your phone aside and just make time for you today. So today is a perfect opportunity for you to put yourself first, okay? Be the best you can be. So let's go to the next slide. So before we get into the whole goal setting, there's a little piece of work, there's a little exercise that I actually want to spend the next couple of minutes working on. And I suppose I find over the last number of years, we don't spend enough time pausing and reflecting last year, last month, last weekend. We're so busy. And sometimes maybe we feel we're in autopilot and we just kind of allow the weeks go into another week and the months. So what I want to do now is to kind of pause and do a little bit of work. Okay, so if you have a pen and paper, take it out. If you don't, that's fine. I'm going to ask you a number of questions and you can answer them up here. Or if you have a pen and paper, write them down. A lot of people would say to me, Rowena, I feel very overwhelmed when I talk about, you know, setting goals, or I want to be the best version of myself. I don't know how to, you know, where do you start? And I suppose that the best thing to start is to kind of assess what's happening at the moment. You know, how are you feeling at the moment? What are things like at the moment? But also to reflect back. We're so busy, we're looking at the next project, the next family event. I look at my children's school calendar and I'm constantly like, oh, we've got this. And before we know it, the months have gone past. Okay, so the first question I want to ask you is, and the reason I want to ask you this question is, a lot of us, last year has happened and maybe it was a fantastic year for us. And maybe last year wasn't so great. And all of a sudden you roll into this year and there's a lot of habits from last year that we just automatically bring into this year. And this is why it's really important to pause and say, what are you going to leave behind in 2022? What are the things that happened last year that you want to leave there? So I want you to write that down. If you don't have a pen and paper, answer up in the head, but also make sure you answer this openly and honest. And maybe you were asked this question before and you've kind of said, you know what, I brushed it under the carpet. Be honest with yourself. So is there things that happened last year that you want to leave in 2022? Next question. What are you going to do differently this year? Okay. Have a think about that. Maybe there was lessons that you learned last year that you're going to bring forward into this year. And the next question, what are you grateful for today? And we'll talk about gratitude later on. But this, for today, this moment, you're here today, what are you grateful for? And they could be very small things. Write them down. If you don't have a pen and paper, answer them up here. Okay, so on this slide, you can see a number of boxes there below those questions that I've asked you. And I've put these boxes for the very reason when people say to me, there's areas in my life, where do I start? What can I do? So what I want is, we can just, go back to that slide, brilliant. So I want is each section, each box that I have here, I've got more questions for you. And these questions are going to help you figure out, well, where do I need to set goals? What area of my life, or what goals do I need to set? And again, when I'm going to ask you these questions, I want you to answer them openly and honest. Do this piece of work for yourself. There's no point in rushing forward. This is what we do. The year ends, we go into another year, bang, another year. We want to take the time out. You want to be the best person that you can. You want to be the best version of yourself. And in order to do that, we've got to just pause. So, family and friends. First question I'm going to ask you. What relationships in your life that need a little bit more TLC, a little bit of loving. Next question. Who could you spend more time with? So is there a friend or somebody in your family that you've been kind of talking about, or you really feel that you need to spend more time, or you want to spend more time? So who could you spend more time with? Write it down. Next question. When was the last time that you told somebody that you appreciated them? Maybe you've been kind of talking about it in your own head. You never got around to that person, or just even to check in with them to tell them that you've really appreciated them. Last question for family and friends. Who do you need to spend less time with? This can be a tough one to answer, honestly. Because remember, you want to be the best person that you can be, the best version of yourself. And you've got to ask yourself these questions. Is there somebody there that's draining? So is there somebody that you need to spend less time with? Just move away and don't get sucked in. Okay, so the next one, business and career. First question I have, how will you bring more passion into your career in the next 3 to 6 months? Write it down. You've got to answer this question. Next question. What can you do in the next 3 to 6 months to get that promotion? You know, you've been talking about this promotion. You know, you've got to do something. But what is it that you need to do? Write it down. Next question. How much better quality of work could you do in the next 3 to 6 months? So have a think, what are the areas that you need to focus on? Improve the quality of the work that you're doing. If you have your own business, is there an area in the business that's frustrating you? What is that? Write it down. Okay. Next one, personal development. Couple of questions here I want to ask. Again, be open, honest. This is your time. First question. How many books did you read in the last 3 to 6 months? If you're a bit like me now, I'm kind of picky with the books that I read. So I love certain recommendations. I love certain types of books. But actually, we're spoiled now. We've got so many different podcasts. If we're interested in cooking, in sports, find out what is it that you enjoy. Okay. Is there a new skill? What new skill do you want to learn? Might be something that just takes a one-day course or one evening. Could be that you want to learn the guitar. Is there a new skill? Do you want to learn how to drive and you've been putting it off for years? What's that new skill that you've been talking about? Write it down. A friend of mine over the Christmas, she used to always play the guitar. And when I was in the house around Christmas time, you know, she spoke about she hadn't picked it up in years. And we were just chatting, but now she's picked up that guitar and she has set time for that piece. And that's every Thursday at 7:30 to 8 o'clock. That's her time where she picks up that guitar. So if there's a new skill that you've been thinking about, talking about, also ask yourself, well, how much time am I going to give? Is it a half an hour? Am I going to give it like two nights, you know, during the week? Well, what is that new skill? Okay. Next one, self-care and wellness. This is one, if I'm being honest, I kind of struggled over the years. I felt if I looked after myself a little bit more, if I took more time out for myself, I'd actually feel quite selfish. I'd think, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be doing something else. And I think over the years, and probably all of us have realized that we do need to put ourselves first. If you think of that oxygen mask when you're on the airplane, you've got to put on yourself first, nobody else. Okay. So there's a couple of questions here that I have. I want to ask you them. So what can I give myself? So remember, you want to be the best version of yourself. What can I give myself? Is that more water, more sleep, more time out for you? Next question. What can I do to be a happier and healthier version of myself? So you've got to dig deep and find out, what can you do? Is that listen to more music? Is that to laugh more? Is that go for a walk? Is that to light a candle and be on your own for 10, 15 minutes? Is that to put away your phone at nighttime where you're just scrolling and it's just a waste of time and you know you shouldn't do it? Is there healthier choices that you can make? Okay. Next one, finance. A couple of questions I want to ask you. First one. So again, get your pen, get your paper, write it down. If you don't, answer it up here. How much money do you want to save in the next 3 to 6 months? Right. Next one. How much money do you want to put away for your children's education? Are you hearing, you know, the people that you surround yourself with that actually they've set up some sort of education fund? What does that look like? What are you going to do? Okay, next one. How much debt do you want to pay off? So is that an extra £100, €100 each month for the next 3 months? Is this an area where you don't like receiving the letters, you don't like receiving the phone calls, and you want to be debt-free? This is something that you've been talking about it, but trying to you know, attack it is just too much. So how much debt do you want to pay off? And the last one, number 6, physical environment. So this could be your home, your base, your crib. This is your place. And a lot of times people can get quite frustrated in terms of the environment that they're living in. And sometimes we can't change that. But what you can change is have a look around the environment. And I have a couple of questions here that I want to ask you. So what can you do to change? What are the small changes with your physical environment? Can you declutter? Can you brighten up the place? You really enjoy cooking. Do you have a small area there? Have you got all your utensils? Do you need to buy something? Is there any changes that you can make? What's your workspace like? I live in a very small house, but I have to make sure that I have my working space, because if not, I just don't feel my best during that day. So you've got to set it up. What does that look like? Have you got an area when you come home from the evening that you can just, your little spot that you can sit there? What does that look like? You mightn't have a big back garden. You might have a balcony. What are the changes you can make there so you can go out there in the evenings and surround yourself with some really nice flowers, whatever that is for you. Okay. So there's a lot of questions that I've asked you there, and I hope you've answered them. And it's really important that we do this piece of work. I think a lot of people would come to me and say, Rowena, nothing is changing for me. I feel I'm going around in circles. My last year feels very, this year feels very same as last year. I think also we compare ourselves a lot to a lot of people, and maybe we look around the people around us and we feel they're moving on. There's things happening in their lives and not for ourselves. We become very guilty because we're working too much, or we're not working hard enough. We didn't bring the dog out for a walk. We didn't make that healthy lunch yesterday. Or we didn't pick up the phone to the friends that we've been kind of saying that we will pick up the phone. So when you have all of these things going in the background and you feel a bit flat, you feel a bit lost, you feel things are just the same and you're going into the same month, this piece is really, really good for you to reflect back, have a look at the here and now, ask yourself those questions. And again, you might feel overwhelmed, as in what area am I going to concentrate? And this is why we have those blocks at the end there and those questions. Also, another thing you can do is you can mark each of those out of 10. So family and friends, you're 10 out of 10 there. You feel really happy. You know, there's no areas there that you want to change or improve. Okay, so next slide. So these are some tips. Okay, so we spoke about the reason, you know, it's really important to set goals that keep us on track, especially if we feel lost. We want to be able to stay on track. It's a life skill to be able to set goals. It's really, really powerful. And you have all those questions that you can answer. You can ask yourself later on again or tomorrow. These are some tips here that I've just put down. And the first one is keep it simple. Okay. The lady on the road, if we invited her into this call and she had a look at one of our goals, would she understand what we're trying to achieve? You've got to keep it simple, that we're going to pay back an extra £100 each month for the next 3 to 6 months. So be very clear, but keep it simple. 1 to 3 goals. A lot of people have 10 goals and do you know what? It gets too much and nothing happens. So keep to 1 to 3 goals. Yes, you might have your big goal, you know, that big vision that you want. But in order to get that, you need to have your small goals in order to get to the big goal. Personal link. This is really, really important. I would have set goals years ago, but it was my friend's goals. And what happens after a couple of weeks, I lose interest. Why? Because it's not my goal. I can't relate to it. There's no personal connection there. So when setting goals, or if you're looking at your family and friends, your career and business, those sections, what are the ones you have that personal link to? Okay. And don't get caught up, well, I feel I should be setting this particular goal, or I heard this lady in business and these are the goals that she sets every year. You do you, okay? Make sure there's a personal link. This one, tell your family and friends, really important. If you tell your family and friends, you know, you can have that conversation. It makes you accountable because they can check in and say, well, how are you getting on with paying off that £50 every month? Or how are you getting on with drinking the, you know, more water or going to bed early in the evening? And you can have those conversations and they can keep you motivated. Write it down and make it happen. Loads of people would say, I have goals or I have these ideas and they're all up here. They're going to just be ideas that are going to be in the head and nothing is going to change. And this is what happens to the best of us, where we have great ideas and we really, really, you know, we've been talking about them, but they're all up here. You've got to write them down and make them happen. And you can get very creative if you want a vision board, and you can print out your pictures and you can write just, you know, little post-its, or get your pen and paper and just write it down and make it happen. Use positive words. Again, very important. So I will pay the £50 off every month for the next 3 to 6 months. I am going to drink 2 litres of water. So using these words, they're positive words, we're going to make it happen. Review your goals. So take that piece of paper out, have a look at your goals, check in with yourself. How am I getting on? Am I on track? Am I doing all right? Is this quite difficult? Do I need to change anything? You're not setting your goals and just leaving them. You've got to take them back out. You've got to review it. And most importantly is just do it. Life is too short. We've got one shot of this. We want to be the best version of ourselves. We want our younger generation of girls coming up and having, looking up to us. We've got to do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Okay, just do it. Next slide, please. I want to talk about gratitude. So to be the best version of yourself, you've got to introduce gratitude into your life on a daily basis. Don't knock it until you try it. There's a fabulous quote there from Oprah. Be thankful for what you have, you'll end up having more. And if you don't concentrate on what you don't have. So really what we're saying here is focus on what you have. We spend so much time talking about what we don't have. We don't have the big house, we don't have the nice car. But if we concentrate and focus and be present on what we have. So practicing gratitude for me was something that I did struggle at the start. And now it's like I'm brushing my teeth. It's just part of my routine. So years ago in the evening, I would kind of go to bed and I had loads of things going around in my head. And what I found worked for me is actually writing down before I go to bed. So I'm brushing the teeth, put a bit of hand cream on, and I'm writing down the 3 things that I'm very grateful for, 3 good things that happened during that day. And they could be very, very small. I have a friend and she's not a morning person. She wakes up very in bad form. And her morning routine would be have her cup of tea and she will write down what she's grateful for. And that, again, this positivity and her mood changes. It keeps us grounded. And especially when we're going through tough times, no matter what or how bad things get or are, we can be grateful. And there's definitely 1 or 2 things that you can write down that you're grateful for. And look at all the benefits here on this slide. Sure, why not give it a go? And again, there's a lot of science behind it around this. A friend of mine would have been saying, oh, you're just practicing gratitude because that's the kind of the new buzz thing. Don't knock it until you try it. Okay, next slide. So again, this is training our brain, okay? So if you do it for 21 days, it can make a huge difference. And maybe a lot of us on this call today are practicing gratitude and we're very grateful that we're doing that. And maybe during the pandemic, it was, you started to do that because to have to practice or to be very grateful what you had on a daily basis. And they can be small things. They don't have to be big. Okay. Next slide. Just going to talk really quickly about this, setting intentions. So you have your goals, you've set your goals and you know that you're going to review them in a couple of weeks and your goals are set for the next 3 or the next 6 months. And you'll know at the end that if you achieve that goal, you'll get the following. Setting intentions is the reason why. It's putting the purpose behind everything that we do. So setting intentions. So for me this week, I want to be kinder to myself. And my goal might be to do X, Y, and Z, but I'm setting out the intention to be kinder. I need to be more present. Okay, next slide. So I want to, I actually had the opportunity of meeting this fabulous lady called Dr. Mary Collins. She's an Irish psychologist and she has this CALM model. And I just said I'd share it with you today because she popped back into my mind there last week. So she has CALM model. So C is for control the controllable. So in your business, what can you control? In your family home, what is it that you can control? A is appreciation. What are you appreciating? What are you grateful for? Have a look around in your business. Have a look around at your family and friends. What are the things that you are appreciated? L is for love. Surround yourself with people that you love. Tell people that you love them. And M is for movement. Okay, move the body. You mightn't want to go out for a walk, but you know what? Walk down to the end of the road, get a bit of fresh air. Stand up and stretch for 2 minutes. If you can tip your toes, fantastic. Okay. Move the body and move the mind. So I just wanted to share that with you. So in order for us to be the best version of ourselves, the best that we can, we've got to look at our foundation. Okay, a builder wouldn't come along and build a house on a weak foundation. So we've got to look and say, what's our foundation like? Treat ourselves as if we were the business. You're going to invest into your business. You're going to invest into yourself. Are you getting yourself enough water? Are we eating the right foods? Are we surrounding ourselves with the right people? Are we having fun? Where's the pockets of joy? Where's the things that you really enjoy doing? Is there music that you like to listen to? Start playing it. Start being you. Don't compare yourself to other people. You're in your lane and you're doing your thing. I just want to finish off. There was a lady that I worked with for a number of years, and she used to say the following, and I just want to share it with you guys today. So she'd say to me, stop making promises you can't keep. Stop taking on so much. Your no's are just important as your yeses. Okay. Feel good about yourself, no matter how small. Slow and steady wins the race. Make it happen. There's no magic pill here. We just need to surround ourselves with really good people, set our goals, and that is it.